In Chapter 12 of Revelation with 0 strength and magic against enemies with 100 crit, Flora uses ice magic to freeze the water, reducing its temperature below 0 degrees. Over the course of the past few chapters, I managed to get Felicia and Hana to an A+ support rank, granting Felicia the Samurai class line and granting Hana the privilege of being benched forever for the rest of the game. Using this, I'm able to reclass Felicia into a Master of Arms, and now it's only a matter of time before she becomes one of the strongest units in my army. This map splits our deployment between the left and right sides of the map. If these deployment slots were forced, we would be in huge trouble, but just like other split deployment maps and Fates, we can combine our forces by pairing our units in the prep screen. Our movement is severely restricted in the first few turns as the area outside the ships is special frozen terrain. Enemies can still walk across the ice with reduced movement, but this terrain is completely inaccessible to player ground units. This makes it very difficult to interact with the enemies before they are able to attack, and my first few attempts at this map are marked by my complete inability to stop the flow of enemies, and the immediate result of that is everyone being killed. I find that having my units spread across 2 bullets on the left leaves me open to attack from way too many directions that I cannot cover, so I have to try to consolidate my forces as much as possible, which necessitates using my flyers to ferry units between boats. But even then, there are too many entry points for me to effectively block, and the enemies are still able to storm the boat. Most of my units are too weak to block the enemies, and letting Korin handle them alone also doesn't really work, because there's quite a few Thunder Mages that can blast through his low resistance with critical hits. The only way I will be able to handle this is to defeat the enemies as quickly as I can before they accumulate. It takes quite a while, but eventually I work out a plan that depends on Takumi's high damage. I pair Takumi with Hinata, and with all my buffs leveraged, I'm able to one-round most of the enemies that try to board the ships, even though Takumi has 0 strength. I'm able to halve the enemies for several turns, after which we are finally allowed to activate the dragon veins on this map to create bridges, which is very helpful since enemies will no longer be surrounded by impassable terrain. With my freedom of movement restored, I'm able to more effectively intercept the incoming reinforcement waves by being able to use more of my army. Since I can't really push through the reinforcements, I had to fight all of them until they finally stopped spawning at the 31 turn mark. The remaining enemies aren't too hard to deal with, and I move on to take out Baruka, Selena, and Camilla's groups. I then go on to defeat Flora to complete the map, and as a reward for doing so, we recruit 3 new characters. Camilla has 0 strength and magic, but is easily one of the best units in Fates, and this challenge doesn't do too much to diminish that. Her personal skill, Rose's Thorns, gives an incredibly useful damage aura. She is a high movement flyer, is quite fast and very tanky, not to mention she has great skills and is a key component of the Kaze Camilla pairing that will define the endgame of this challenge. Aruka has 0 strength and magic and is in many ways pretty much just a worse Camilla for a lot of the game. She's slower and squishier than Camilla, but her personal skill Opportunist gives her a decent bit of damage with an easy to activate condition. More importantly, she can be paired with Saizo for a funny C rank support, and also one of the strongest builds in this challenge. Finally, we have Selena, who has 0 strength and magic, and frankly the idea of using her for anything did not at all cross my mind until I had to make this part of the video.